You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
From the universe and the Andronicus transmissions. And so I want to put something out there to those in the UK and Ireland. I hope you're safe, sending out prayers and protection to you. All these natural and questionable phenomenons that are going on in the planet right now. They just want to send out our highest intention for all of them, all the people, all the nations, everyone around there that is struggling, sending a blanket of love and protection. And, I saw the news that California's fires there's been a loss of about 40 people and dozens missing, so we're also sending up prayers for the families, and hopefully that things get better for them out there and this craziness just stops. So, I'm doing the best I can and communicating, sending out messages to the universe, to the galactic centers, to the councils, to everyone I can to help assist. And I hope that you're all doing the same. But either way, we're wishing everyone well. So, JP, how are you doing?
Hi there. I am feeling a bit better. I had a bit of recreation last week. I was messing around with fire pits. I was talking about this on my show last night. Messing about with rocket stoves and fire pits. I put the things on my Facebook page. It's quite spectacular, the rocket stove. I mean, it basically turns a piece of tubing into a 6 foot blow lamp. It's brilliant.
Wow, I think I saw a picture of that on Facebook.
Yeah, it's a huge column. I mean, it's about, the flame itself is about a foot tall that is coming out of this 6-inch thick, what's that? That's, 30 centimeters out of a 15 centimeter pipe. Not bad.
Wow. Well, festive at least.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it looked like fireworks.
Oh yeah, well it does. When it's dark, the sparks come out of the top of it are also, it's like a firework display. It's really great fun. And it makes the sound. I mean, it's like really strong rocket sound.
I think there are regulations for something like that out here, but I'm glad that you're able to have some much more freedoms than I do.
Well, here's the thing. This thing is smokeless. It's quite an incredible technology, but it's a smokeless fire, which is, it burns everything. It's really efficient. So that's why I've been experimenting with these things, because they're really efficient. They produce a lot of heat very quickly, so you can cook with them. And they run on sticks.
Amazing.
Fabulous stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's new in your world?
My world's getting to be very paranormal. I don't know how or why.
Getting to be. Getting to be.
Above and beyond the typical. Yeah, just
what could go for as a normal day.
Okay. So I've been looking at apartments, places to live, because my current resident is up for sale, I guess. And as I'm looking around, I was like, I could live here, I could live there. So I decided to go up to Maine. And OMG. I was like, this looks like something out of The Shining, It was like, they had a barn that was kind of partially falling apart, and then there was an adjoined, apartment above the primary house that, there was definitely some paranormal going on there, and my radar, my psychic radar was going crazy. It was just like, my stomach was going in like 5 directions at once, and I was just like, whoa, what is this energy? And I was just picking up so much. And it's, surrounded by trees, all these woods. It was pretty phenomenal. So that happened. And I was like, well, I'm not really sure. I mean, if, I do like the paranormal. I have been in haunted houses. I don't know if I want to live in anything that's haunted. And I'm not sure that they're even aware that it's that haunted.
Yeah. But the other thing is, you could get a house that, like, nobody's been able to live in because, there's always blah, blah, blah. And then you talk to the ghosts and, you pass them across and there's no ghosts anymore.
Yeah. No, And that's what I'm saying is I'm not that opposed to it.
You might get a bargain.
And, well, most people, you know, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen haunted houses for sale, but, the thing that I do get concerned about is these old houses is the mold issue. And to me, that's a heck of a lot scarier than any ghost out there.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
You just don't want to have any health issues.
No.
And I think that usually accompanies a lot of these problems. And, but anyhow, so that happened. And then last night, I was hearing someone talk as if they were right in the room next door, like 4 a.m, saying that they need to put tape on the wires on the floor. And I was like, what? And I got up, I'm like, who's saying that? It was almost like I was in another reality.
That's what they do in a studio.
A studio or I was thinking, oh my God, I wonder if I'm tapping into the CIA or something.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, that might be also, more likely.
Yeah, that crossed my mind. And about a month ago, same thing in the middle of the night, I'm hearing, like people laughing and talking or whatever, my roommate on both occasions was not home. 'Cause it almost sounded like her voice and she wasn't home. So I thought, well, that's odd. Anyhow, so it's getting extra paranormal. And I think, they talk about the veils being a little thinner during this time of year. Right around the holiday, right around, Samhain, or, they call it, that's the old name for it, All Hallows Eve. Whatever, that's the time when people talk about, the people that are in cemeteries and the hauntings and all that stuff. So it does seem to coincide with that. It could be that I'm just opening up a little bit even more because of that, or there's something else going on. So, but it's very strange. And like I said, it came through very loudly too. Like usually, in my conversing with energies, beings, spirits, even ETs, a lot of it's on my inner hearing. This seemed like it was on the outside. So that's the difference in the paranormal, where it's actually going on in the space, in the house, as opposed to you connecting to it personally. Like I could be connecting to something like miles and miles and miles away, even light years away. And it's not relative to the specific location that I'm in typically, unless I hit a portal. And then if I'm in a portal, then I can, before you know it, I'm jumping through the portal, and my higher self, or whoever that is, usually jumps first before looking, and I'm trying to catch up and see what's going on. But in this occasion, I think there's something unusual happening, possibly. So anyhow, so that came up. And then we have, this whole thing with the Emerthers that kind of came forward, and I thought if people might want to know, because the Emerthers are from the Council 5. And so, about 3 years ago, there's someone by the name of Bob. Everyone knows who Bob is. And on occasion, he'll talk to me. I think they call him Skinny Bob. I call him Smiling Bob. And he asked me, he goes, where's Gary? And I didn't know I was supposed to know where Gary was. But so apparently, according to him, I was supposed to know, and I said, I have no idea. And so I just felt like his energy was, I felt like I discovered where his energy was recently as I was going through a lot of the music. And I know people are saying, well, you listen to these rock stars or people that were musicians and you think that, they're all connected to stuff. Well, sometimes they are. And I don't know it's coming through that way. So I don't think there's any rule or guideline, but it just so happens that that's what I'm finding. And, so when I found Gary right, I started laughing because, Gary's always right. And, he's singing the song Dreamweaver. And Dreamweaver was a song that, my sister used to, kind of mockingly say, that's your song, cause I was always a daydreamer. And And so, I thought that was kind of interesting. And then other songs also that I was listening to, it says, so today, I actually had a communication with Gary, and, we're going to share that later on in a transmission. And I say he's a little bit like Eric, but not quite. Right, JP?
I think, well, I mean, he'll sound a little like Eric, but, his, character is quite different. So tell us a little bit more about Smiling Bob, because, you know, you said, oh, everybody knows not everybody knows Smiling Bob. But he was an E.T. that was, held guest captive at Area 51. Is this who we're talking about?
I believe so, yeah. So, I know I don't believe he's there anymore, but.
And they all have these really kind of, really regular names like Bob and Gary and, you know, which is why I called my sort of spoof one Eric, which has got me into all sorts of weirdness.
And who knows, he might be one of them.
Yeah, very likely there's one called Eric who's going to come round and say, well, what have you done? You know, why are you taking the mickey out of my name? But the thing is, yeah, so Gary, this is like the E.T. called Paul in the film.
Yeah.
Because they take on the personality of the CIA officers, really, that they've been hanging out with. That was Paul, you see. He, in the film, he's swearing and he's smoking and he's absorbed the character of the people who have been holding him, the CIA. You know, he looks, you know, he behaves like a CIA guy.
Right. Well, yeah, but you know, I mean, they're very, very high intelligence and, extremely, and they were connected to the builders from what I've discovered, but also in a lot, you know, communicating and watching over the planet along with the other members of the Council of Five, and then there's other councils as well. But they actually, I think it was Bob that brought me up to a place where I could be a witness for him, because apparently there was another species that was harassing him. Kind of look like those white demon things that I talk about. They kind of have like a small face, but a wider, like small, like where the eyes, mouth, and nose are. It's kind of small, but the face is wider. And they're kind of odd looking, but it's some form of hybrid and quite nasty.
Do they have something on their heads?
Yeah, they do.
This is interesting. Simon Parks got a message. One of the messages I read for Simon yesterday, one of the questions, described white beings in a white space, and they're very tall and they had these very wide faces with something on their heads.
Yeah.
And Simon was describing it as a sort of crown sort of thing that isn't a crown anymore. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes horns.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, those things. Stay away from those things. They're a hybrid of something. But to me, I call them white demons because I mean
white demons, right?
Yeah, I think I mentioned them a lot a while back with Meetis. Meetis even said stay away from them. They're not any good. And so apparently Bob was having some problems with them, and he said, you know, I need you to come with me. And I said, okay. And he brought me up. And the Council of 5 was there, Council of 12 was there, Council of 24 was there, Council of 8, there was the Andromedan Council, everybody was there.
Oh, it was a big deal, you know.
It was a big deal, and he said, tell them what you know about these beings. And I said, those things are nasty, they're doing horrible things on the planet, and so he just needed some validation, and so then I think that they got permission to have them removed. So, I mean, I was like a witness, I guess, you know, and gladly so, because personally, I don't like to, you know, have to, you know, out of nowhere deal with one of those things. There's been some creatures that have been created, and I say creatures because they weren't originally species. They were designed and bioengineered to serve a purpose of a negative element. I don't think they have any, you know, honorable purpose for being here. And I don't know if they need to go back to the primordial ooze or whatever, wherever they came from, or if, even worse so, that they're mechanical. And that, maybe they just, some kind of cyborg, hybrid something. I don't know what they are. I will tell you one thing, they're not humanoid at all. And definitely some other kind of species altogether, combined. And they say that about the tall whites too. The tall whites are multiple species combined in a hybrid. That's why they're kind of difficult to get rid of, because you can't. Then they have so many different attributes that make them very resilient and strong. So that it almost as if we need some additional help to have them brought back to where they belong as well. But that was one of the latest updates. And
this is one of the things that you've experienced when I talk. Just people are in the wrong place. And you get them taken to the right place, their own home, and everybody's happy and everything's fine.
Yeah, and some of the species were brought here against their will, but they were used for agendas. And also we've had cross links in portals, in addition to timelines being crossed over, like someone implied to me today that the anomaly of me actually hearing this other conversation that was elsewhere or an alternate reality is an overlap of timelines. And anything like all of these different things have been happening. And there's even, what we're going to talk about today in the transmission, some of this weirdness was brought on by another event and some other things that happened that we've been working on, and that's the convergence of stuff that's been going on from the future coming into our reality and then messing about everything and then throwing us off and then, creating other problems that didn't previously exist. So while we're trying to sort out our own stuff, they're discovering that there were other things that were entangled us that are preventing the ability to shift in the timelines properly. But that's why, then you have the Earth itself being sort of in the wrong place, where dimensionally we're getting attacked and we can't kind of pull away from that timeline because we're locked in because of some other weirdness. So it's complex. It's very, very complex. And so we're trying to do is get everything, whatever has kind of hooked us into a reality so that we can't move or budge or no one can jump in and help us. Trying to detangle those things so as these things start to roll out that we won't be a part of it, because dimensionally they'll exist somewhere but not necessarily in our space because it's not our stuff. And the negatives are trying to integrate their stuff into our stuff. Yeah.
One of the transmissions I got from my guides a few years ago was that eventually the reality that we're in will be kind of depopulated with souls. And will just exist as a sort of a museum piece where people can visit to see what it's, And who's to say that's not already happening? Anyway.
Yeah. There's many versions of us.
That's right.
Rippling out in parallels and in alternates. Yeah.
And maybe we're all tour guides.
Crazy. Or hitchhikers.
Yeah, tour guides.
I feel like the hitchhiker, that's for sure. I want to tell everyone to hang in there, because the second hour we're going to have James Rink, and we're going to talk about more paranormal stuff, about some weirdness that came up about Michael Jackson.
Ah, yeah. Very good.
All right. So that's going to be the second hour, and I didn't let you know about that, JP.
That's okay. But, James is all right. So listen, other things that I was doing last week were that there was, I just thought, I was wanting to chill out, so I thought, I went to a website saying random Star Trek episode. There is actually a website, you can Google it and you can get a random Star Trek episode. Who the hell's calling me at this time of day? Random Star Trek episode. And, the one I got was, it's called Parallels. And Mr. Worf goes through multiple, you'd really relate to it because he goes through multiple dimensions and timelines. Every few minutes, and what's interesting is that every time he crosses a timeline barrier, he feels nauseous.
Yeah, no.
It's a vertigo and nauseous, and he's you know, they really got it down. And then, so he's at a party and it's his, you know, surprise birthday, and suddenly the picture that was a present appears on the other wall. Suddenly, you know, all these, you know, different, person appears in the room. Suddenly the captain's there, then he's not, you know. So there's all these really interesting experiences of moving through parallel dimensions. So I just wanted to add that little snippet since we're in the parallel dimensional zone. One of the things, my conception is like we're going through like a laminating machine where all the timelines are squished down and compressed into one. And as we go towards the rollers, we're necessarily going to go, we're going to be closer to the other parallels because we're all converging, and so that might be part of it.
It might be, but I think they're doing like a shuffle. You know, they're trying to get things in their proper place. But I think it would be a bumpy ride if they don't. For a lot of people and for the Earth, I think, and the Earth seems to feel it. And that's the imbalances that we get. That's why people say that, you know, we're going to go through this catastrophic thing. Well, that could happen if this other stuff doesn't sort of get corrected. It's almost like, you know, driving your car halfway over the train track. And you have to move it, or else it's going to be a problem. So, we're working on moving these timelines so things don't, you know, I mean, it's little, I know, help. And what's really weird is it's these little snags, the little snags that keep things from actually flowing properly. So pulling out all the different little snags that holding things from, you know, flowing as they should. Little
tangles.
Yeah. But we don't really want to go on a bumpy ride. We want it to be a very smooth transition as possible and less of these, incidences that are occurring. Now, something that you said earlier about, you know, you're looking at something and then there's something else there. They had me look at the Devil's Tower yesterday because the Devil's Tower, someone mentioned it about rock climbing, and I looked at the Devil's Tower and there was a female there looking at me, but she was almost partially transparent. Yeah, so I'm saying to myself, now, I don't think I remember seeing her there before, and she had black hair, kind of curly hair, and on her head were these like weird looking crystal things. And I said, they look like fiber optics in a way. And then I heard the word chapeau. And I'm like, oh, that's French, I think. I think that means hat. And I had to look it up. Yeah. So I'm like, well, why did they say chapeau? And I said, oh, first of all, then she must be French, or either that or Jacques, Capon was around me. You know, it's still kind of guiding my path here. From the future, well, I'm the future scientist. But that's the only thing I can think of is why I would hear it in French. But what they were saying is that was like a time travel hat that she was wearing. It looked like fiber optics or crystals dangling from her head. It was really weird. Like strands.
How odd. First thought I had was Andorian, you know, the, Star Trek, aliens who have these little, dealy boppers out the top of their head. Blue with blonde hair. Yeah, no, I don't think I know that. Maybe you could send me a picture of it. Yeah, but it's probably not. This woman had black hair. She had black hair and she had these like crystal things coming off her head. I'll tell you what, I didn't like the way she looked at me though. She did not look at me in a happy way. Yep. And I know that I've looked at the Devil's Tower before and this was the first time I saw her, so she's seen me multiple times. But I've not seen her until yesterday. So, which brings us to Andronicus. Let's go straight into it, shall we? Yep. Hello, Andronicus. I see you're back at Camelot observing, as you did a long time ago. Have you discovered what you were looking for? It was the abyss we were looking for. The dark abyss that was unexplainable and created so many anomalies both in this space and around it. Was a mirror of many realities or realities within realities. All of them were superimposed and without true connection to another reality as would naturally occur. The dark energy or goo seeping in from the abyss created a type of fracture, separation and isolation from other natural realities. I had never seen this before, so I examined it much deeper. This is not normal for organic energy to react, and it seemed to be a mutagenic or microcosm of fields splicing and reacting in an unseen way. I began to examine the mutagenic that had been a fabrication of our atomic matter and antimatter along with plasma. Of course, it was much more complex than that, with small bot-like energies similar to what you view as your Morgellons disease or contractive illness from these entities like microorganisms.
Just out of curiosity, is this linked at all to the woman Morgan Le Fay from the Camelot story? Since you're looking at Camelot.
Yes, well, this is where it came from, but it goes much deeper. The being by the name of Morgan was not born in that reality, but had fractured into that reality from the being from the future. I believe you call them the 12 monkeys. I observed the one you called John, another name for me, had come to look for missing females who had jumped through the gate with reckless intentions.
Yes, I remember I've spoken to John, and he exists in the year approximately 4000 or so. I know he had to find them, and we talked when he found the one he called Blue or Sophia and other names. It was strange. Are you saying another one of the 12 monkeys were discovered in Camelot?
Yes, but this one was highly contaminated and had many aberrations involved. The material that she interfaced with had changed her anatomical molecular structure and caused fracturing on many levels. The soul could not endure the alteration, and she carried severe levels of rage and slumbered into very dark intentions. To offset the severity, she created false realities of unnatural extreme happiness to disguise the anger. The mutagenic created madness within her, and she ceased to be in control of her own. Of course, she was not working with good intentions from the beginning. Her desire for power and fame was her main incentive to return to the past, much like the one you call Blue.
Did she work in the lab with the other scientists as Blue did?
No, she never worked in the lab, but had a strong interest in ET and galactic interaction. She was quite vocal and curious. Her curiosity without knowledge got her in a lot of trouble, and her soul is irretrievable at this time. The elements coagulated in her blood and created a dark composition of unknown components. In addition to this, she elevated in her madness and seems to exist in multi-realities until now. I believe you have been hearing her at night speaking.
Yes, it has been very strange, as if someone in the other room and no one else is there. So it is so odd. When you spoke to John, your future aspect of yourself, did he say how all this happened?
Yes, she was a friend of Joan, the one you know as Gwen. Another problem, of course, but we won't go into that now. They went to school together and talked in depth about off-world travel. Joan was friends with Corin, and Corin had many variations by which she went to disguise her intentions. In time, she is also known as Corel, Carol, Karen, Corella, Corey, Katie, Kathy, Caitlin, Cassandra, Calypso, Catherine, Kelly, Kenya, Kendra, and probably others. We gave one of her fractions the name Morgana, and she is also known as the Lady in the Lake to us, the creature in the abyss, primarily because she no longer resembles human form at this point. We still need to do so much more investigative work to discover the origins of her problems. Meanwhile, I will stay here to observe and close all patterns and constructs that don't align with natural harmonics and organic quantum fields. Well.
Yeah.
That was a list. When I started that list, I had no idea how long it was. Corin, Coral, Carol, Karen, Corella, Corey, Katie, Kathy, Caitlin, Cassandra, Calypso, Catherine, Kelly, Kenya, Kendra. There we go. Not bad. How was that? That doesn't.
Yeah.
Good old
Andronicus. I know.
He's very precise.
He is. And maybe there's a reason why we have all the names.
Exactly.
And I think they've been doing this. listing names like this lately, maybe trying to help us to track things and see behaviors and so forth, but see how they match up. Because I think that her, even though it's not her directly, the fracturing, it's kind of like soul aspects, like little pieces somewhere shattering and kind of affecting, or there's a projection on multidimensional levels, which makes her quite powerful, even though this is a being that's enraged. So you have stuff like this going on too, that kind of, there's a lot of incidences now of people being bipolar. And to me, that sounded very bipolar, the way he described her.
Yeah, this really, where is it? To offset the severity, she created false realities of unnatural extreme happiness to disguise the anger. That's a primary displacement, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And you see that when a person goes extremely to one level, then they go to the other extreme, don't they, to offset it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because everything's looking for balance.
Yeah. So, so this needs to be brought back to a central neutrality, doesn't it?
Yeah. So now we're going to get into another aspect of it with Rhodan. And it is apparently Rhodan who touches on it in another way.
All right. I've been watching over the stratosphere and observing activity. It is true, the object that appeared to be a Dyson sphere has been removed. I observed that my grandson fell victim to it, and it required quite a bit of adjustments to remove the black goo from him and other individuals and locations involved.
Rhodan, I saw the Regilians as a part of this. What have they been doing to cause all of these problems? First, they block the ancient frost beings, so Dionysus and Ares can wreak havoc in the galactic field. And then I discovered that they had been doing all sorts of things regarding human activity and creating a separation of generations to create disconnecting generation gaps. Now I see them being one of the carriers of the goo and laying down goo and technology on the planet. Have you been able to remedy this problem by removing the goo and the tech on and throughout the planet and all the inhabitants involved?
Not quite yet. The elements have a tendency to procure deep strongholds. Our discovery about Corin, sounds familiar to the Quran, doesn't it? Yes, well, the deeper we investigate, the more we discover. It's a deep, dark hole into the abyss. Apparently, upon further investigations, Corin, in search of deeper learning and off-world contact, agreed wholeheartedly to offer herself to the likes of the Rigel and willingly entered into the biosphere, or as you see it, the Dyson sphere, to align with their agendas. It is unclear to us how she made this connection and could have been abducted and instructed by them according to her behavior, as you know, as MK Ultra, but more advanced as it does grow and become more refined by the 4000s in the future. Is much more the norm as opposed to being an oddity. According to the current timeline you are on now, this is the direction you're headed. The infestation of a variety of black goo, cyborg enhancements and other systems, or hijacking the souls to accommodate further control. I can hear your thoughts saying, I thought we removed this. I thought we already resolved this. It is true, there are many variations of these future realities, and though you remove one species, a vacuum appears and another adapts to the pre-programming of the formula, being tainted by their thinking. This must be removed, and we are looking to discover more of the origin of it. While Andronicus was brooding over his life as Arthur and sorrowful about the outcome, he began to see very strange events occurring that lent to the fore of magical and unexplained anomalies. The mysterious location of Avalon, the murky lake of the abyss, and the mysterious lady of the lake and similar females that appeared to be unrelated. We know better now. It was like an echo within an echo or a mirror within a mirror. It all must be stopped, but in the process of doing so we discovered how many were entangled. So we began doing the unravelling quite carefully. I suppose Andronicus' self-loathing waves opened up a wealth of data and crucial information to a viral thread brought in by Corin and her fanciful quantum poisonous toxic goo infestation. I'm not mudslinging, but rather have a bit of disgust for this material. It is highly contaminate and vile. The Rigel are not the most sanitary bunch to begin with. Their reeking, odorous settlements leave a lot to be desired. I believe we are getting a handle on all of it.
I see that there was a hurricane off of Ireland today. Does this have something to do with it?
Yes, it does, but we are watchful over the gateway. We don't want the contamination to come through. Currently, it's mostly on those who are directly affected and part of the sphere population. Many of them are quarantined from your reality. It will take some time, but soon it will be over. We'll be finally able to remove the abyss and the dimensions of fractures it once created.
Can you protect the inhabitants of Ireland in the UK?
Yeah, we will make an effort for the least amount of damage. This would have been a most horrific event if these beings ever came into your reality. Try to be understanding and patient.
Okay, thank you, Rhodan.
Right, so good news for Rhodan, for Ireland. It's a cleansing. Yeah, we can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they're trying to. I mean, I think it was going to be a bigger event, and I think they're kind of stopping it from happening. And I think it might have been an effort for these things to come through, really open up the gateway. And they're stopping it. They seem to be catching these things on time, and as time goes by, it's becoming easier to manage. That we had multiple things happening all at once. People say, well, the higher councils are not helping us. There was so many things happening, especially when the timelines started to collide in as they did. And that was something that was naturally happening, but then we were not prepared for it as there were other things, going on underneath it. I actually have a friend that's said that he kept on having an insight that these hurricanes were going to be coming to Europe, and here it is. So I thought that was quite interesting. So that some people are becoming aware of it and foreseeing bits and pieces of what's going on. And like I said, hopefully we can all kind of stand together and hold a space for those that feel a little weak at this time and feel vulnerable from these natural occurrences. Well, I say natural, but kind of strange weather patterns. So
I'm actually feeling a little energized at the moment. I don't know whether it's because I shifted 2 tons of oak the other day, and did a lot of work, physical work and digging and all sorts of stuff. And it's kind of moved a bit of I was feeling a bit sluggish over the summer. I'm feeling a lot more energized now. It's also to do with this. This is the second cup of coffee. So who needs the pitch shifter when I've got coffee?
No tea. And I had my tea today.
I got a tea over there. I got a tea over there.
My fake builder's tea or faux builder's tea.
Oh, no, it might be real. We're going to have to send you some. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Another thing on the list, Yeah.
Well, don't send it quite yet. I don't know where I'm going to land in about a month. So
maybe
Should
I'll
be interesting.
send some as a welcome gift when you move into your new house.
Yeah, wherever it is.
Wherever it might
be. House, vehicle.
That's in the forests of Salem,
And tell them. Someone says, just find a haunted house somewhere that no one wants. I said, you kidding me? And so there's so many people that love this stuff.
Oh, really? All right.
Yeah.
It's a popular thing. For metalists, yes. Yeah. Rock bands and metalists. Mm-hmm. So, shall we move into the new character, or do you want to do Meetis?
Yeah, I think, because Meetis always has to go last.
Yeah, okay. He's the finale. Where are we? Yes, there we go. I got a little sound effect for him. Here we go.
I wanted to speak with you alone. I know Bob and the others have been searching for me, but I needed to do this on my own. It was an experience I had to have on your planet.
Gary, they have been searching for you and asking me to find you for over 3 years now. I can see you've been gone for a lot longer time than that. Where did you leave? Why did you leave in the first place?
We have simple lives with many restrictions. We like to tinker and work on projects at our own pace. One could be deeply engaged in a simple but meaningful project for over 1,000 years of your time.
I watched one of you with holding a shiny metallic object.
That was
creating
me.
Something.
That was me. That's how I ended up here. Because I saw you spying on me.
I wasn't spying. I don't know how I was able to see it, but I really enjoyed watching you examine it and turn it in your hands.
You weren't supposed to see it in the first place. It was my work, not for you to steal from me.
Gary, I don't know what it is in the first place to steal from you, and besides, I'm not much of a threat to you. I don't have a scientific mind and couldn't figure it out even if you created an instruction sheet to assemble it.
It's not assembled, silly. You should know better than this from the many years you lived with us.
How long ago was that?
Yesterday. What is time? You want me to calculate things according to your human measurements. Ridiculous. Why discuss it?
Why discuss yesterday?
Cloud 9 speaking to Miss Forgetful. What have you, silly fool bumpkin?
What? I suppose I should be offended by this bumpkin?
You are supposed to respond in the way we usually respond. Oh, never mind.
Gary, don't you miss creating things? Tell me, you were here and getting everyone upset about the fact that you have been missing.
I didn't want you to know this, or anyone else for that matter, but I wanted to understand humans better. There, I said it.
Well, obviously, I did as well. That's why I'm here.
You are here for another reason. You are not like us, but you can be just as strange.
Thanks, Gary. I appreciate your support.
Anytime. Oh, well, it is an anti-gravity test. You failed the class as well, apparently, like Brian.
I've been going to classes as well during my dream time?
Of course not. We gave up on you a long time ago. Besides, they have other work for you that you seem to be doing swimmingly. I have to admit, you can't be held down for long. I don't have that type of endurance, so I stay under the wires as long as I can. Although it looks like my time is running out, but it has been one hell of an experience.
I can't imagine what you've been doing or have done or been through while you were here.
Well, let's just say I've had my fill of human experiences, but I am bored. Humans are too simple-minded and limited learners. I don't think there is anything left that piques my interest. You should come and stay with us again. I'm sure we can teach you how to build. Oh, I'm so sorry I caused you any sorrow or heartache. I'm retiring the blue bathrobe.
Well, that's a good idea, Gary, and I appreciate your apology.
We're not leaving. I was able to help considerably for all involved. The council will readily receive me when I return. They were just concerned that I was harmed had been taken for data mining. You know, about the 2 new builder planets they created. That was my idea, and one of the reasons why I left. I said, we need to expand or we could become extinct. It all worked out well in the end.
Yes, it does work out one way or another. I'm glad I'm glad to see that you're okay.
Oh, and stay away from the Gobi Desert. It's dangerous now. Beaming out.
Well, that was quite strange. Yeah, unusual character. Quite playful. I see what you mean, you know.
Yeah, that's the way they are. It's kind of a little bit of sarcasm and
A little bit.
kind of condescending.
Cloud9 speaking to Miss Forgetful. Calls you a bumpkin. Anyhow.
They do this stuff deliberately to make me laugh. They don't like to take things too seriously, but they are, it's like a quiet, but they're very, very intelligent. I did see him working on this kind of object, and it was cool. It was really cool, but he thought I was going to take the idea from him.
All right. What did it do? Oh, that's how he got there.
He said that's the anti-gravity thing. He said that I was the reason why he came here in the first place is because he said I was spying on him.
Ah. Maybe as a Rhodan.
Who? Gary?
No, when you were a Rhodan.
No, I just did that. I did that like 2 days ago.
All right.
I saw him 2 days ago.
Uh-huh. Yeah, interesting. How'd you recognize him? I mean, does he look like a grey?
Not quite.
All right.
I mean, they looked a little different when I saw him working on the object. I mean, they're like builders, creators.
So I suppose they can appear in any form.
Yeah, it was slightly different. But then I saw him later and he looked more like Bob. So maybe he alters himself a bit. But, yeah, I didn't, they're touchy, little, don't look at my stuff and they did tell me that they created the 2 more builder planets because they were concerned that they were going to potentially be at risk or be extinct at some point.
Well, it's certainly a backup, isn't it? You don't want to put all your eggs in one, evolutionary basket as we found out on Lyra.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and just, in the event that something blows up, that some others are existing elsewhere.
Yeah. And, now we know about, like, defense systems as well. Back in the day, we didn't have defense systems. It was like an open country. Yeah.
And as the galactic field is getting more populated, just like the Earth, there's less and less things that, can be hid.
A few little ghettos and favelas build up, These are, there's dangerous places everywhere. So anyway, let's, shall we move on to our, maybe we should have a character vote. Ches, if you're listening, you'll put a little character vote. Who's your favorite character in the Andronicus transmissions, and, see how we're all doing.
Yeah. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I have people contact me saying they want to see more of Borkum.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard from Borky
some people love Baylord. So I mean,
even that terrible accent. God.
Yeah. I think it's the whole parallel thing. It has a lot of meaning to them.
I think there's a lot of parallel talk at the moment, and maybe in a few minutes we'll talk parallel with James because. He's quite a parallel talker.
Yeah, he is. Super Soldier Talk. James Rink.
Parallel Super Soldiers. Yeah. Right, okay, final hiddly-do. Where's the hiddly-do thing? There we go. Hello, Flower. Care for a drink? It's high tea now and I'm gathering with the ladies. It is quite lovely here. It appears I'm the only male. One of them asked about Dryden. Can you believe it? They still think about him.
Meetis then began to count out how many sugar cubes he was putting into each of our tea.
1 for me and 1 for you. 2 for me and 2 for you. Margaret. Meetis. This is Margaret. Meetis, who are you talking to? Oh, I see you prepared tea for me.
She then picked up the tea and batted her eyelashes at Meetis.
Oh, she's always getting my way, that one. I'm beginning to think that someone sent her to handle me. You know, I don't do very well with control systems. It is a bitter pill at that.
We call them alien love bites, Meetis.
Did you say alien love bites? You mean vampire, do you?
Not necessarily, but I'm sure that group is included. It has something to do with a species that wants to control or take from you, so they send someone who has the allure and appeal to draw you into their spell or control. I'm not sure if they are a walk-in or just a puppet in the process. It is a nasty sort of thing and can be alluring, deceiving, and in the end, quite damaging. It never ends well. That's what I know for sure.
I see. This is a problem that humans mostly endure. Everyone else can see through it now, can't they?
I suppose that is true. So do you think Margaret has some intentions for you?
I don't know. I know. She is related to those gents of the secret societies. But I never like the look in her eyes. It's almost as if she had often seen a ghost.
Well, what do you suppose they want with you?
Mostly it's to stay away from their wives, I imagine.
Really?
Oh, it's not me, it's them. These women are always searching for attention outside of their homes. They do nothing, sitting around all day, primping and gossiping. I never see them lift a finger for anything. I will admit, it looks appealing, but the conversation is greatly lacking. I think you have convinced me to move along now and no longer entertain them. I should be doing much more constructive things than finding the Black Witch.
The Black Witch?
The Abyss, my dear, the Abyss, yes, yeah. They've asked me to look as well.
Did you find her?
Does the hen find her eggs? How could you ever doubt me?
I agree, I should never doubt you. Ever.
Well, I'm not saying I am the most honourable man, but I will say I'm a true friend to the end. You know, I see Primus right now. He's making me a new fiddle. The others are watching him as well as he is about to tune the instrument. They want me to sing. Yeah, wait up. I'll be straight away. Oh, it sounds lovely. If only he knew who I was talking to and how he is involved elsewhere. I'm coming. Ready to sing when I finish my tea. I must go. Wait, oh, very well. Here's a song for all of you as well. Just listen and write it down.
Meetis puts the tea down.
And picks up Clara. Auburn-coloured tablecloth, embroidered floral napkins, a lovely set of silverware to set before the captain. I eat at night, I drink all day, I watch the ladies dance and play. I'm on the ship to wreckage every day. Without me looking or caring where I stray, upon the ship I drink too much. The pirates play and gamble and such, I let them do as they so will. I am not willed to stay too still, I want to roam, on course I go, but stray, if you will, to find treasures, you know. One cannot be a pirate if they're careful and private, la la la. We've reached the stars. The nighttime guides us to where we are. I beat the drum, the keg's all done. We're drunken and we can sleep till dawn. La 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 la. We'll sleep till dawn. Let's hold on to the cabin and rock silently on. Well done,
Yeah, I
Karen.
like that.
Yeah. That's like going along on a boat, sort of thing. Nice calm weather. Unlike the weather that's going on. Let's bring the hurricanes calm like that. So, there we go. Where's him? Yeah.
Well, we could start by bringing in
Play one of your notes, one of your tunes.
we do Ophelia. Ophelia is the song Ophelia by
The Lumineers.
Lumineers. And after that will be Love is Alive, and
There we go.
okay. Oh, hello everyone, and we are back. And we have our special guests today, James Rink from Super Soldier Talk, and Adrian. And I'm glad that they're both here. We're going to talk a little bit about some of our findings regarding, I believe, Michael Jackson. That was going to be our primary topic, but you never know what else we're going to get into. So hello, James. Hello, Adrian. How are you today?
Hello, Jessica.
So who wants to start first? Who wants to start with the story? Because I have my story of Michael Jackson, but I want you guys to share first.
You want me to start, Adrian?
Yeah, go ahead, James.
Okay, and I do want to mention to the audience members, Adrian's website is forceversuspower.com, so please check that out. The full transcribed message from Michael Jackson's on there. I've got we did this multiple sessions over a period of maybe 2 months, I suppose. And I just compiled it all in one area and also kind of kept everything sectioned off for continuity. So basically, I first asked Adrian. I sent Adrian. Do you want me to? I guess I'll say this. I sent Adrian a very special Ouija board, and Adrian opens up a portal, and then he's able to communicate. I'm not certain, Adrian, if the letters are actually going on using the little knob thing, or are you actually hearing words in your head? Could you answer that? Adrian,
you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on the channel that's coming through. Sometimes I hear it in my mind, and other times the spirits do communicate with the words at the board.
So the answer is it's both?
It is both, yes.
Okay. All right. And so we initially reached out to Michael because I was starting a new business, and I was trying to get some advice on some products that I wanted to sell, and we were talking to different people from on the other side just as a test to test out his board and see what we could come up with. And then when Michael Jackson came through, the channel was very clear, and Michael actually seemed like a very nice person. He was very interested in communicating with us, especially about his killer that murdered him. And so we certainly delved into a lot of different questions that people would have about his life, as well as like the child pedophilia case and his career and some of the people he knew. It was all very fascinating, but yeah, go ahead. Oh, all right. Well, Jessica, did you have any specific questions about Michael? Maybe we can.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
Well, it's funny that when we had this discussion, you guys were openly channeling and gathering information. Adrian was talking to him. And I'll tell you, my story was really weird with Michael Jackson. When he died, it was either that night or the following night. I had a lucid dream, and I was in a space with him. And we had a conversation, and he said, I had children with you. He goes, don't you remember me? He goes, we had children together. And I looked at him, and I was like, no, this is not true, and this is a lie, and I don't believe it. And I actually responded and got angry. And so then, years later, like, you know, I was thinking about what he said, like, as if, like, I was the genetic, parent of the two kids, Paris and, what's the other, the son's name? Paris and, well, his two children, the son and daughter. And I know that he has a biological mother, but somehow my genetics were involved. And I didn't believe it. But I ended up having some of this, later on. I get this discoloration in my fingers. My skin discoloration, which is something that he had. And when Adrian was looking and talking and James was talking, we were, trying to figure this out, and I said, ask Michael if this was true, and he said it was true. And then I saw the vision of how it happened. They had, these Greys had abducted him, and then they had abducted me, and then they used our DNA together. So we were abducted at the same time, and I watched how it happened, and that's why apparently how we got affected by our skin was from the Greys. And that's the rest of it. That's all I know. And other than you guys end up receiving long transmission of information from them.
Okay, Jessica. All right. Well, are we live? Is there like a chat group that could submit questions or maybe post?
Go to wolfspiриtradio.com/radio show.
Okay.
And there's a chat room there. Do you want me to drop that in the chat room? Yes.
Yeah, JP, could you ask the chat group if they want to ask Michael Jackson any specific questions? Some of them have probably been answered already on the channel conversation. Jessica, did you have a question? You want something we should?
I'd like you guys to read some of the content that you've gotten already, if you want to.
All right. And Adrian, you can chime in whenever you want, but essentially we could start off with the child pedophilia thing, and Michael insists that he's innocent. That was his words over and over again. I'll pull that up. But he says that I mean, he had a horrible childhood, and I think he was adults with basically a child stuck in an adult body. And there was a lot of cases, those cases kept destroying him financially to the point where, he lost, well, essentially they are losing Neverland Ranch. It's going to be, apparently it's on the market, to be sold, and he never wanted to return back to it anyway. I think it was maybe in the early 2000s the last time he's ever been there. And then there was multiple cases. There was one in the mid 90s, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and there was another one in 2004 or 2005. So in that case, it was with Gavin, and you saw that in the Martin Bashir documentary, where he lived with him for about 6 months, filming Michael, and then when it was put on the air, it made him look like a total flake. And I think Michael even admits that it was a horrible mistake to bring him in, but I guess he was too trusting of a lot of his friends, and some of them did some horrible things to him. There was the case of one lady who would record all of his conversations, and apparently it was done by her husband, but later on they came back and blackmailed him for money. Private conversations with Michael about his business, his personal life, and I guess he paid him off. I didn't ask him specifically about that, but there was a lot of money. He made a lot of money, and he was spending it left and right. He claims he gave Madonna $20 million, Adrian, do you remember? Or you can pull that up. Yeah, so I asked him, do you have a thing for Madonna? And he said yes. But Madonna was cheating on me. He says, and he also says that Madonna owes me money. She never paid back. And he said, $20 million. She wanted to buy real estate. And then, he said that Madonna was in a really rough spot. So I guess 20 million is a rough spot for Madonna. I suppose. I don't know how much money these people really need, but, and we asked about, Lisa Marie Presley. Of course, he was married to her for very briefly, and his comment about Lisa was basically he didn't want to go there, and he just says no comment. So, and I asked him about Diana Ross, and he's still in love with her, but of course, Diana Ross is still alive, but and I want to say still alive, but because a lot of these people are really up there in age. I mean, she was 20 years older than him. I know we asked about what one song in general. I think it was an Eric Clapton song. Look Into My Father's Eyes. Michael claims that was a gift to Eric, which was about Michael Jackson's father, Joe, who treated him horribly. And when I say horribly, it's more like he would push him to the point of where he never really had a childhood. They were always traveling, performing, and Joe helped turn Michael Jackson into a star by his work ethic. However, Joe was cheating on women, and he was also abusive towards Michael. Michael mentioned that his father would burn him with a hot iron. Of course, he got the belt. He got thrown in bathtubs full of hot water and whipped. So I can kind of see why Michael Jackson would sort of be stuck in a childhood-like type mindset after going through that. It's sort of hard to go through this stage of development when you're treated like that. But he doesn't have any hard feelings towards his father. I know some people wonder about that, and he says he thanks his father for helping him get where he is. Yeah. And there's a lot of other things, like, for instance, he really did wear a nose prosthetic. He did bleach his skin. He did have vitiligo, I think it's called.
Yeah. Did he bleach his skin because he had vitiligo, just to probably have it one color?
Yeah, to unify the color. But
supposedly the Greys have that problem.
Yeah, well,
this Grey species. So it was like a contagious thing or something, or genetic.
Yeah, he says that his father was racist towards white people, but he believes that was a sin, and he thinks that white people are not the sin. That's in his words. So I don't know if he was trying to be white, but he certainly he claims in his next life he plans on being a white person. So I'm not quite sure what the deal with all that is specifically, but but we've got messages for Quincy Jones, LaToya, Janet. You can go read about that. And I want to go ahead and let Adrian chime in. Is there anything you want to mention, Adrian?
I just wanted to mention, James, that everything you're saying is very accurate, and that's some of the things that we discovered, when we were channeling Michael on the board, and it seemed like he was really coming out in a lot of truth, what did happen a lot of his life. And we also discovered that he is definitely not human. We discovered that he does have a lot of alien genetics, and he could be part of the Galactic Federation, is what we felt. And we know that he was very innocent, and what he went through was very sad, because he was really trying to help and heal the world and get his message out, and try to change the world. That was his whole, his whole mission, I believe, on the earth is, to help and heal the world and the children and all the poverty that we're going through, just like the song, that he sang about heal the world. And, that's why I wanted that on the website, because I felt like that was a really powerful message to put out there, and, to remember his, music before he died. And so some of these songs, also, James, what I'm feeling from him is that, he really wanted to get out the message even through his letters, the love letters that he wanted to give to his family and his sisters and everything like that. And, so I do feel like he was coming pretty strong. One morning, I woke up. I just want to share my experience after we channeled Michael. Usually I closed my blinds, my curtains. I was telling you about that, James, where I got new curtains, and he actually opened them up, because I don't remember opening them up the next morning, but I felt like we were making some kind of contact, and that's what I, wanted to share.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because Michael was a little paranoid with people, with his fans that would break into his Las Vegas mansion. They would jump the wall and they would be in his backyard. Of course, people loved Michael, but it was the point where it was a bit crazy. So he had some pretty tough security. He also, when he would travel, he would put towels over mirrors in the hotels because he was worried about not only two-way mirrors being recording devices, but also he says that there were portals in these mirrors, and he was worried that beings would come in. He even said that he actually did see some reptilians. I suppose he kept that to himself, but especially in the business industry he was working in, he did see some shapeshifters. He also said that, essentially, because of what Adrian was saying with the curtains, I think what was going on is he was probably trying to look out for Adrian. And Mike always put like those masks on his kids too, so he was very protective. So I think that was really cool that he actually, like I said, he seemed like he seems like a really nice person. And a lot of people didn't like him for that because, I asked Michael about the Illuminati issue, and Michael said he did join the Illuminati. Well, when I asked him when he joined the Illuminati, I didn't get just a yes or no answer. It was actually, we got a date, I believe it was June 1983. And this was right around the time, I think the Bad album was coming out. I think Thriller was already in the works. I think Thriller was like later, like December of 83, if I'm not mistaken. The timeline's right around there. And then there was also the Pepsi commercial, which came out about a year later. And that's, cause what happened is once he joined the Illuminati to get fame and, money, and, also promote his career. I suppose they probably came up to him at a time when he was vulnerable in his early 20s and, going through an abusive family and next thing you know, everybody wants to talk to you and treat you like you're famous. It's sort of, it can get to your head, and maybe he just wanted to do anything to get his career going. And also people were very racist back even in the 60s, because at the time in the early 80s, MTV wouldn't even play any black artists. So he broke that barrier as well. So when he joined the Illuminati, they were doing some things with child sex slavery and pedophilia. He knew about Pizzagate while it was going on. And so he told them to shove it, that he wasn't going to get involved in any of that stuff. And that's when, of course, he came up with Heal the World and so on. But what happened is, we think, now maybe Adrian can comment about this, but I think it was around 1984, I believe, there was the Pepsi commercial where they put fireworks in his hair, and his hair caught on fire. It was around the 6th shot, and we think that was some kind of ritual, that was intentionally done to him because he was telling the Illuminati to shove it. And And that's when his scalp got burnt so bad, he had to be on painkillers for many, many months, and then he got addicted to them, and that's when he had all the drug addiction painkiller problem. But we think that was maybe his penance for joining Illuminati. But Adrian, you want to comment about this?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to say that's very true. I do feel that there was some type of ritual going on at that time, and he did get his hair on fire. And it's funny because you mentioned that right in the channel, and I really didn't see that, but he was talking about like something to do with fire in his hair or something like that, like burning his face or something like that. And then you mentioned about the hair, so I just wanted to confirm that that's true. A lot of times when I channel, I don't always remember a lot of things, like Jessica, but, most readers are like that, and some people get into their channeling sessions like that. And just like when we channeled Cynthia, she came through like saying, well, everybody called me Cindy, and a lot of people are saying, no, that's not what they call. But we really don't know like some of the things that come through with the spirit, or they might give you a message in a different way, but when you put it all together, it really makes sense. Like what you're saying about the hair giver and all that. So I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, so the timeline is he joined the Illuminati in June of 83. In December of 83, it was when Thriller came out, and that's when there was the zombie dance. And that was actually, that got over 100 million albums.
Yeah.
And then the Pepsi commercial was in January of 84. So this timeline, it's all coinciding with what he's telling us from the other side, which I think is, it makes a lot of sense to me that he probably was attacked. And then after that, that's when all the media press started coming out, calling him Wacko Jacko, and they started attacking him. But it didn't really matter because his music was so amazing that, so anyway.
Well, Prince had an incident where he kind of tried to pull out, and I think he started to have different views. He even had a video that I think reflected his belief system with God, and all of this stuff's contrary to the industry and them trying to have their own labels, and there's a lot of pressure to go along with everything that's being done, because especially with Michael, he started off as a child star, not having any say in the situation, really. His parents being probably the ones that signed everything, and at that point, as he got older, just being kind of very, very involved. And I don't know if you can separate yourself from these systems, because they're very overbearing and highly controlling. And you hear about all these nightmares related to it, but we've got some questions too that people have in the chat. If you guys are open.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I wanted to mention, James, there was somebody that had a question about the when he hung the kid off the banister when out the window. It's interesting because you brought that comment up before, about that event. I just wanted to mention you were saying something about his clone, like that we were picking up that it could have been his clone that did that.
Yeah. Then they all have clones, which, is the weirdness of things that are going on.
Yeah, Michael says that wasn't me, that was my clone. They had multiple clones of me, not just the Galactic Federation, but the Illuminati. So I asked him, well, maybe we could bring you back. And he said, apparently that is possible, but, he is out of body now. And he wants us to find his killer. He even named him, his financial advisor, Adam Kane Killsborn. And the name Kane comes up, repeatedly.
Mm-hmm. So Kane might have been the soul energy, was one of his earlier names. And then maybe it's not his name now. Is that correct?
We don't really know. Yep. Michael says he doesn't remember the specifics on how he died. We think he was probably injected with something to make it look like he had a drug overdose. We're not even sure if Adam Kane Killsborn did it specifically, but we do suspect, and we need to explore it some more. But apparently, Sony was trying to get a hold of his $500 million stake in the media portion of the company, because he owned the music rights, to at least half the music rights to Sony. So we think something was promised to Kane. Maybe if they took him out, they would get the money. And apparently the estate, Michael Jackson estate, has already sold off the portion to Sony. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but yeah. Well, go ahead.
JP mentioned, I get that the Painkillers had a kind of kill switch, same as in Prince. And
yeah, the idea that the drugs that they were giving him, had a little more than drugs, had nanotechnology that could be activated remotely. What do you think of that, James?
That's actually possible. I certainly think with his connections, being a member of Illuminati, now
they've got super technology available to them. But the one thing I'm interested in really is like his father-in-law. Can he tell us a little about Lisa's father?
Elvis?
Things that people didn't know about his father-in-law. That's the question. He'll know what I'm talking about if that's if he is who he is.
Well, I mean, when we asked about Lisa Marie Presley, he just says no comment. So, I mean, you have to ask that Adrian. Maybe Adrian, you want to open up the portal and ask Michael a specific question if he knew anything about Elvis Presley.
Now, we did bring in Elvis. You remember that time when we channeled and Elvis came through? So maybe there's a connection there.
So we need to have a specific question for Elvis.
Okay.
So does anybody want to chime in?
Well,
JP?
Yeah, well, I mean, did Elvis go to his wedding? And how much contact did he have with Michael? 'Cause he didn't die.
Okay, Adrian. Michael, are you there?
Yeah, I'm getting a yes on that, James.
Yes to what specific?
He did go to his wedding.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, okay.
And, how much contact did he have with Michael?
Yeah.
So Adrian's.
He says he can't speak live about it, but he has been in contact with him for years.
Thank you. See, that to me, that's a verification.
I'm hearing that he was in contact with them prior to the incarnations, that they know each other from the soul group.
Well, the owl agrees.
I heard. Yeah, that's what I heard.
He said that's correct.
Yeah. Was his doctor innocent? Nick Rhodes asked that in the chat.
He said yes.
Yeah, that's it on the website as well. He said specifically, his Dr. Conrad Murray, was innocent, and that, of course, he spent a couple years in jail, I think 2 years. He was actually in prison. But, he says that he needs to be careful because people are watching him, and he doesn't want him to get killed off either, as well as some of his family members, Janet, LaToya, and so on.
I have a question from KGirl921. There was a suspicious person in a hat at his funeral. What was that? Peeps said it was him. Where is he now?
Yeah, well, I've asked about that. I mean, there was dummy. Apparently someone said there was a dummy in the coffin and so on. But apparently Michael says he is on the other side. So as far as the suspicious person should be concerned, maybe Adrian, you want to ask Michael that? Because we haven't asked about that yet.
Maybe that was Elvis.
Believe it or not, yes, it was Elvis. You're right.
Yeah, because it fits.
But that's correct.
And Elvis is with him now. Elvis is now on the other side, yeah?
Yes, he is.
Bless.
And that's why they come together. Like the last time I channeled Michael when he came with Elvis.
Bless your
Yeah,
hearts. Beautiful. Many people love you.
Somebody said there was a suspicious person at the funeral. The funeral was in 2009. So who was the suspicious person? I mean, you just said Elvis is on the...
Yeah, Elvis didn't die until a couple of years back.
Oh, so he is, okay, I got you.
Elvis didn't, again, it was Elvis who didn't die. They buried a wax dummy, he said a 6-foot candle. They buried a wax dummy and he went into a witness protection program with the FBI. And he actually joined the FBI as an agent to root out the mafia in the music industry.
Yeah.
And there's letters to President Nixon about that he wanted to do this thing, and Nixon said, "Yeah, okay." So, and then they disappeared him so that he could work undercover. And he'd been alive ever since, and he made a few records here and there.
We have another question from Ray Rowe 77. Was Debbie Rowe the mother of his kids or someone we don't know?
He says all his kids are his biological children. The last one, Blanket, I don't know. We haven't asked about that specific one, but apparently, the other two, probably were, the two older ones. But apparently there's also another child. Michael alluded to that. I don't think we have the name of this other child, but I believe it was a boy, a man now, I suppose.
Yeah.
They're all, yes, another child with another mother. Adrian, you want to comment about that?
Well, we discovered that he had, another son, and, it wasn't something that, I don't think it was biological. I don't think he said it was biological. Okay?
Oh, so he adopted this other kid?
Yeah, I think he adopted him, yeah.
Huh. All right. Well, so there, but he claims the children are all his. So, yeah.
Yeah, he did. He claimed that they were all his.
I'm just looking through to see if there's any other questions here.
We have another song from Michael Jackson. It's called Death Do Us Apart. And we were trying to get Michael to give us the notes to the song, but apparently he never wrote musical scales. So when he came up with music, he would hear it in his head, and then he would go to other people, artists, to put the music in there. But the lyrics go, don't cry, the window's open, try to see into my eyes, baby don't cry, daddy is coming home to stay, it is time to play, put your toys away, do you just wonder how much I love you? You don't need to ask, just know how much I love you, I am coming home to stay. And it goes on, there's another line, but it says, I'm the king of rock, rocking it, talk, talk, talk. I'm the king of rock. Talk to me, Joey. Start your dance. Let it rock. Talk to me, talk, talk, talk. Jump as high as you can go. Talk to me, Joe. Go, Joe Star. Now you are the king of rock. Jump high in the sky and grab the king of rock. Talk to me, talk, talk, talk. I am the king of rock. Okay. So, yeah, I can't really sing like Michael Jackson, but, so that's, another poetic verse, but yeah, apparently.
The only one that's qualified to sing here is JP, cause, I've already said that I'm not allowed. And, and I can't speak for you, Adrian, but, JP's the only one that usually sings on my show.
And I don't think I could ever compete with Michael. I mean, what a voice.
Or Elvis, either one.
Or, yeah, indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, Gaz in the chat room does a good Elvis impersonation.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
which is funny. I was married to an Elvis impersonator when I was younger.
No.
Yes.
Really?
I mean, he was a military.
A military version.
And he used to entertain the other guys in the military when he was based over in Germany, of all places.
Amazing.
So, yeah, it was...
So, yeah, I've heard about this thing.
27 or so.
This Elvis didn't die thing, and that he went undercover. And so that's a kind of little known fact that no random spirit might know. We should be asking, are they doing anything on the other side, and I'm pretty sure that they are,
right,
to help disclose the pedophilia? Because this is part of disclosure, isn't it? The pedophilia is part of disclosure. We need to cleanse the world. What can they talk about what they're doing?
Yeah, Adrian, I think Michael did talk a little bit about it, but I think he says he's rather limited because he can't appear to us physically, and he's out of body. But he definitely wants us to go after the one who killed him. And apparently this guy, I don't know if he's connected to pedophilia, but maybe you could comment, Adrian. Does Adam Cain Killsborn? Maybe we can ask Michael if he's connected to pedophilia.
I'm getting a yes response on that.
All right, and ask Michael, what specifically can we do, or what are they doing on the other side to stop it?
They're doing some research on the other side to stop, but that's why he opened the investigation of the killer. Because they wiped a lot of Michael's memory.
Right. So that's one of the issues where Michael doesn't remember the specifics of his death, but there were some like weird coincidences. Like, for instance, they shut down the airport right after he died, and we asked who was that, and apparently that was Adam Cain Killsborn, trying to get out of the country. I guess this guy is really high up in the Illuminati, so he had the power to do that. And I think these people feel like they're above the law, but Michael said that there's a higher law. There's God's law. Actually, let me look up the word specific for that. But hold on. Well, Adrian, go ahead and chime in.
What did you ask, James? You wanted to know what he said?
Yeah, I found it. It says here, I will get my justice. I will enforce the law. The Illuminati are not above universal law. I really hope that everyone will continue to take their lives and rights back. And that's what, I asked him specifically, what would you tell Adam Cain's Killborn? And so, but yeah,
and remember you asked too, James, like what happened with all those children that they took in that private plane, and then we picked up that, I can't remember what we were saying, something about the cane or something.
Yeah, there were reports where Michael was getting on airplanes with some children, and I asked Michael about that. Michael says he doesn't remember that, so we think maybe there was another clone of him, doing some things. I couldn't even guess what was going on since he didn't remember. But Michael was part of the Montauk Project, and he didn't want to talk about that either. I don't think he probably wants us to go into details of that.
What about, can we go into the details about the guns? I mean,
yeah, there were 8 removal vans that showed up at his LA mansion right after his death, and people were wondering what that was, and Michael claims that he had a huge gun collection. And I don't understand why they would need some. I mean, I know he had security with him, but usually security doesn't need that many guns. Maybe Adrian, you want to comment about that?
Yeah, we couldn't really figure out why they were loading all these different types of guns, but apparently Michael had them like stored somewhere in his house, and we were thinking that maybe one of his sisters might have sold them or something like that.
Janet,
we were picking up.
It was Janet, yeah. Janet. I think Janet may still have, apparently she still has them. But I guess they had all these weapons in case of, they said there's something about starting their own army. I don't know, maybe it had to do with, in case he got mobbed in Vegas, because he was in a very his compound was protected, but it was still very open.
Yeah, they should have got Stephen Paddock to sell all his weapons off.
It's like Rambo.
Too early? Anyway, we've only got a few minutes left. More questions. I mean, because this opens up, there are so many conspiracies connected with Michael Jackson. I mean, what does does Michael say anything about Paul McCartney? And what the deal with him and the Beatles music was about?
Go ahead, Adrian.
Or let's say full McCartney.
You know what, JP, just to put in a little side note, Gary Wright was friends with George Harrison. I thought that was interesting, and we talked about Gary Wright earlier, another musician.
See, again,
and
the links
Beatles,
come in. The Beatles.
Link.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
So what he's telling me is that they were all part of the Illuminati rituals, some of the music that they wrote and things like that, certain times of the day, certain weeks. He's telling me that he had a very close relationship with the Beatles. Due to their different types of contracts that they were part of the Illuminati.
Right. Well, I want to comment that apparently Michael knew that his death was going to happen a couple of weeks or months prior. Michael says that he had the ability to remote view and astral travel. He would often pop out of his body. And he said that he reported this to Michael Jacobson, who I guess he was friends with at the time. And I don't really know the details about it, but apparently maybe Michael didn't believe him and some of his friends, and they thought he was maybe going off the deep end. Maybe thought it was paranoid, but in the end, apparently he was right. That's why LaToya says that Michael was killed, because Michael probably told LaToya that about some of these dreams that they're going to kill him. And anyway, we're trying to get a hold of LaToya about that,
and that's why he tried to push it out in a lot of his letters, like not just the music, but also like little tiny like warning signs to his like sisters. And like I don't believe, I'm not quite sure, but I don't know if their family knew that he joined the Illuminati, but he was trying to like put out these hints in his different songs, and not just the Illuminati rituals he did in music, and trying to incorporate, Beatles and Elvis and all that. But I think he knew what was going on, and he was trying to put it out there in a way where he didn't put anybody else's lives in danger or anything like that. So that's kind of like exposure. It's kind of what I'm getting from that, James.
And that's why he came up with Heal the World.
Yeah.
And a lot of his music was very uplifting, like the song Black and White, cause he was always trying to bring people together. And I mean, I even asked him, what do you think about the N-word? And I don't want to say it on air, but Michael said it pisses me off, because a lot of rappers are using that word. And he says it pisses me off. And he says that I was told that my whole life. Whoever says that, I will kick their ass. My greatest idol is Martin Luther King. So he was all about bringing people together. It didn't matter what your color or skin was. He had a beautiful message about the Las Vegas shooting. I talked about that in the last video I did on Super Soldier Talk. And he has a message for all the fans. I want to read this before we get cut off here. But he says, listen to my music and remember me. but what I am today is greater than what I was 15 years ago back in 2002. Don't be sad. I am better today. My fans still love me, and I am remembered. I am loved very much. Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's
very nice.
Validate that.
Yeah. It's a very, very tough situation to be in. And you know what, it's even more difficult to say that you heard from him. It's channeling Michael Jackson. There's a lot of questions and mystique around the character of who Michael was, and his persona was larger than life. And I want to thank you guys. You did a fantastic job in sharing your insights and information. And you're welcome to come back again. Maybe someday we'll talk about some of those video game insights that you have, Adrian, in the future, or any other. Yeah, I'd love that. And so you guys come back. We can talk about all sorts of things. Have a great day, and thank you for everyone in the chat room for participating.
Thank you, everybody.
Do you want to show your website real quick, James?
Yeah, well, mine is supersoldiertalk.com, and Adrian, you want to mention yours?
Yeah, I'm typing in now. It's www.forceversuspower.com.
Okay.
Forceversuspower.com.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, and we'll be back next week for Answers from the Universe, the Andronicus transmissions. Have a great evening.